Australia has a fuel security problem. We are energy rich but fuel poor. Almost all of the petrol, diesel, and jet fuel that moves our economy, 95% of it, is either imported directly or made from imported crude oil. Even our local refineries rely mostly on imported crude. Fully domestic Australian fuel adds just 4% to fuel security. That means the fuel in our cars, trucks, mines, farms, ships, and planes depends on long global supply chains exposed to oil shocks, price spikes, conflict, and other disruptions. So, how do we fix this? Stockpiles can help, but they only buy us time in a crisis. They don't add to sovereign supply, which is the best way to guarantee security. So stockpiles only marginally add to our overall security. Drilling for more oil sounds like a good idea, but it doesn't stack up as a fuel security solution for three main reasons. First, Australia's oil resources are limited and declining. Geoscience Australia has warned that without major new discoveries, Australia's oil production is projected to cease within the next 7 years. Second, there is a fundamental mismatch between the oil we need and the oil we have in the ground. Much of the oil Australia produces is light crude or condensate, which is not well matched to make the diesel and jet fuel that Australia needs most. And third, new discoveries take too long to respond to an urgent problem, typically taking around 15 years from discovery to production. So Australia cannot drill its way to fuel security. The domestic oil option is far too limited, takes too long to produce, and can't produce the fuel Australia needs. The most effective answer to Australia's fuel security problems is to reduce the amount of imported fuel that we need in the first place. And the best way to do that is to replace imported fuel with Australian electricity. And that is not quite as complicated as you might think. Most of Australia's liquid fuel demand comes from land-based uses, things like cars, utes, and trucks, but also mining equipment and agricultural machinery. These are exactly the areas where electrification can do the most work. DSI analysis shows that by speeding up electrification, Australia can displace around 2/3 of land-based liquid fuel uses by 2040. That's within 15 years. So, how do we get there? Let's start with cars. Australia has been slow to adopt electric vehicles compared with other countries, but that's changing. As more models become available, prices fall, and charging infrastructure improves, EV adoption is quickly moving from the margins to the mainstream. That pattern has already been seen internationally, and Australia is now entering the same acceleration phase. The sooner Australia's existing vehicle fleet is replaced with electric alternatives, the sooner we cut our exposure to imported petrol and diesel. And households benefit from cheaper running costs. But cars are only part of the story. What about trucks? Freight is a very diesel-intensive part of our economy. It's almost entirely dependent on imported fuels. Some argue the heavy trucks can't be electrified, but the evidence proves that wrong. Globally, heavy truck sales are following a similar pattern to EV adoption, albeit at an earlier stage. Australia's not yet in the race, but the technology is ready to be deployed. Electric trucks with enough power and enough range to do the job are available today at a lower total cost of ownership compared to diesel. And because freight operators are sensitive to running costs, the shift can accelerate quickly once the right infrastructure and regulatory settings are in place. Next, mining. Mining is another major diesel user in Australia, and its use has risen sharply as open-cut mines have needed more fuel to get the same amount of resources out of the ground. But most of these operations can be electrified. There are large mining companies in Australia today investing in renewable energy to power their operations and deploying battery electric equipment. It's a similar story in agriculture, and that is despite policy settings that put electrification at a structural disadvantage. Cars, trucks, mining, agriculture. This is where Australia is most reliant on foreign fuels, and this is where the fastest and largest fuel security gains can be made. All up, electrification can displace 58% of Australia's liquid fuel demand by 2040, dramatically increasing our fuel security. But what about the gap? Some sectors, particularly parts of shipping and aviation, require energy density that batteries can't yet replace. That's where Australia's low carbon liquid fuels come in, or LCLFs.
LCLFs are non-fossil alternatives to conventional fuels, and they're an exciting part of Australia's future. They can be made from wastes and sustainable resources from our agricultural and forestry industries, and other renewable carbon sources. Natural resources that we already possess and can endlessly renew. In fact, Australia already exports feedstocks to overseas refineries that are making sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel. The opportunity is to bring more of that production onshore and bolster Australia's fuel security. Done properly, this is not about clearing land or compromising food and biodiversity. It means using waste streams more efficiently and developing new primary industries that can benefit farmers and the regions. TSI's modelling shows that using feedstocks already available to us, LCLFs can help Australia reach almost full fuel security by 2040.
Australia has a fuel security problem, but we are energy rich. The answer isn't to drill for more oil that we don't have, it is to use the energy we do have. Australian electricity for the fuels we can replace,
Australian low-carbon liquid fuels for the ones we cannot.
that's Australia's pathway to fuel security.